is X-Rated.
I'm Matt Fisher.
I'm Ryan Whedon.
Thank you for listening. So I've been thinking of ways to promote the podcast.
Okay.
My most liked plan is that I think we should come up with a very prestigious podcast award circuit.
And award ourselves best podcast first.
But not right away.
Okay.
We need to give it to big famous podcasts. And
right.
What we need to do is have it come with a grant.
Okay.
And on the condition that we'll reimburse you once you spend money promote or building your podcast up.
Okay.
An endowment of sorts.
Okay.
And then my plan is to just never have what they spend their money on fit our criteria for the grant.
Okay.
But we'll still give out the awards, and then it'll be big deals. And if we give them to big podcasts, and they say, "Hey, I just won this award from the creators of XYZ podcasts," get our names out there, and then I'm thinking year 3 or 4, then we award it to ourselves.
It feels a little bit like a hustle, but I'm up for it.
Plan number 2, we need to get on the red carpet warpath and start talking it up on every red carpet. I don't know if Pony has a red carpet, but if they do, just roll it out.
It's probably not red anymore.
I'm going to be at every water cooler talking that up.
What have you... Who's that guy?
He doesn't work here.
I don't know, but I want to check out that podcast he was talking about. You can see that.
Plan number 3 is I release a sex tape. Because I got a weird one.
You mean another one?
Yeah, this one's night vision, and you can tell that the guy's buddy is robbing me. So I figured that might, encourage a little curiosity.
Yeah, sure. It worked for Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
These are all great ideas.
So we'll toss them around and see which one sticks.
Okay.
And they're not mutually exclusive, so I'm more than happy to show my sex tape at water coolers. Oh, I watched a lot of stuff actually over the weekend. I really sort of just cloistered up and kept myself away from society.
Oh my god, that's what December's all about.
Yeah, it was still cold. Like today was the first day that cold streak broke. I finally, after all these years, got around to watching Rushmore.
Oh! That's on my list of movies I want to watch for this sometime.
Yeah. In my mind, I had watched the first half with you, actually, and
right.
I got drunk and fell asleep.
Right.
And then I feel that I watched the last half later on at a friend's place. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I've seen the whole thing, just not in one go.
Yeah.
And then when I sat down and watched it, I'm like, oh, I saw the first 10 minutes and the last 2.5 minutes.
There's a lot that goes on in between there.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot that I had missed, and there was also I can remember so vividly the scenes that were in the initial trailer, the television commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember those scenes are etched in my head so much because I don't know if that movie was advertised to exactly my demographic, but I remember seeing the television commercial for it constantly.
I don't remember the trailer for that. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it and wanting to go. I dragged my parents to it.
Oh, really?
Weirdly enough, yeah, because it came out when I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And they were visiting me while I was in college. And I
Okay.
said, I want to see this movie. Which I remember walking away thinking, wow, I loved that. And they just kind of had their, wow, that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if Wes Anderson really translates through generations.
Yeah. I saw some movies too.
Yeah.
I watched Everybody Wants Some.
Oh, yes, you had feels for that one.
I had some feels.
Yeah.
There was a large portion of the movie where I wasn't on board.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just sort of why do I care? Why should I care about these straight white dudes?
Yeah.
In the, why do I care? And I'll be damned if Richard Linklater didn't kind of give me a reason to care a little bit at the end.
See, I never got on board.
You never got on board?
I never got on board with it.
I did a little bit. Just when he's in the river with his girl, and he's talking about his essay, and just like being given a purpose is kind of nice. And so that, it was kind of like, well, that's a valid point. But it's hard to support a movie that basically the premise or the final line of it is, white guys have feelings too,
Yeah. So I like Linklater, and so like my criticism of him always, like, it sounds super harsh, because I think he makes great movies.
He does.
Like, pretty consistently, he makes great movies. I wasn't big on Everybody Wants Some, but like my criticism of him is his movies are all just like cis hetero white male, like, going through the world. Like every single one of his movies is like that at the center of it. Even like his more like, Waking Life, it's still like, I mean, that's kind of plotless, I guess, if you really get down to it, but it really, like, none of them stray far from just like the life of straight white dudes.
Exactly. And there's so many good things to say about his movies too. But I like this one really just kind of left me with that same feeling in my mouth of like, there's so many stories like this, and you're telling it differently and well, but I just can't get on board. It was disappointing because I love Boyhood so much. It's one of those rare movies where like the concept and like the delivery are equal. Like usually, like when you read a cool concept, like especially about like the making of a movie, the movie itself usually shit. Like, and this is like, that was one of those rare times where it's like the concept was awesome and then the movie was awesome as well. Yeah, it really worked.
And I remember I was like, is he just, like, after Boyhood, I'm like, is he just going to go back to making normal movies now? Like, this was such a feat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you just, and the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Like, he just went back to making, like, the sequel to Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. And I will say, like, one of the reasons his movies are so enjoyable is that they feel so effortless.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even feel like he's trying.
Yeah.
And it's cool to look at. I mean, like, you kind of, there's just like a vibe that he's able to get, and it's really easy to just sit back and say, oh, I'm going to just enjoy this,
Yeah. One thing, and I think I realized while watching Boyhood, is like, he's from Texas, like Austin, I think, I would imagine. And like, really to like get anywhere in Texas, you have like a 90-minute drive.
At least, yeah.
And so I realized, like, his movies, like, they're heavy on dialogue and they're heavy on music. And I was like, oh, I mean, that's probably just how he learned to, like, entertain himself. Like, he was on a drive, he was either talking with his buddies, or, like, he was listening to music the whole time.
Yeah, good point.
So I just feel like that must be, like, where he, like, got that sort of feel for the movies. Because, like, he's got heavy dialogue and he's got heavy, specific era of music, too.
Yeah, and he likes to play with time. So,
yeah.
We've got your number, Richard.
That lead guy was just...
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not put this down without saying that there's some hot dudes in that movie, and it's a bunch of them just running around, and you get to see a bunch of them naked at some points, at least like from the backside, so it's like, okay, fine.
I'll finish this movie.
They're all wearing little short shorts from the 70s, or are shirtless because it's hot.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Or those tight baseball pants.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain all the way.
Yeah. Like, I still sat through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
It's torture.
Anyway. I'll still see whatever he does next.
I'm sure I will, too.
I'm not going to... He's only temporarily, in the... I don't even know what term... in the timeout corner? Where do you put something when you're...
It's not a doghouse situation, because he didn't, like, fuck up or anything.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure the movie was exactly what he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just reflect on what you've made.
Yeah, I don't know, the movie was just like the perils of being, like, young, white, and attractive.
Yeah. I give him a B+ and say, next time try harder. How about that?
One of my, personal horror favorites, Return of the Living Dead. and it's a perennial favorite of mine. A couple of years ago, I worked in retail for many, many years, and one Christmas Eve, after, the last day of being open in the Christmas season, I went home and I was just like, oh, I want a palate cleanser from all, like, the Christmas music and, like, the rush of the crowd and just, like, the angry people, like, shopping angrily for relatives that they hate. Like, I wanted something to just wash that taste out of my mouth. So, even though I'd seen the movie, like, already 100 times at that point, I was like, this seems like the right thing to watch. So it's, like, Christmas Eve, and I was, like, home alone at the time. My boyfriend at the time was, like, with his family, visiting his family for the holidays. Okay. So, yeah, it was just me, like, home alone, and I don't know, it was just the perfect movie for, like, that sort of, like, burnt out, like, just had Christmas crammed down my throat for, a month at that time. And it just seemed like the perfect thing to relieve all that pressure and stress.
Well, Matt, I want to tell you something. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Today, we're recording this before Christmas, just so everybody knows. And I finished up all my Christmas holiday shopping today.
Okay.
And it was hell. And I hate it. I really hate this season. I'm just going to throw that out there. But I got home... and I still had to watch this today, and I put it on, and it was immediately, I was smiling, it was like, yeah, this is what I need. This is what I need right now.
Yeah, there's something about it, like, it's sort of goofy and silly, but it takes itself seriously, but it itself is sort of goofy and silly.
Yeah.
And just, like, the music, like, it's got that sort of, like, synth-heavy 80s vibe that I love.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's got the right type of gore, and it's got the right type of, like, crude humor and, like, kind of, like, slapsticky humor, and I don't know, it washes away, like, all that, like, cookie-cutter Christmas crap.
Yeah, it's really the anti-Christmas movie in the best way.
Yeah. So because I've seen this movie so many times, I decided to watch it with commentary.
Oh, okay. You're probably going to have fun facts then.
Most of the fun facts are on IMDb. I try not to regurgitate too many of those.
Yeah. I wrote a few down, but...
But one thing is... So the movie, the shooting only lasted for 6 weeks. They got the whole movie done in 6 shots.
I didn't see that.
But I guess it was a really, really stinky set. Like, one thing is the tank, when they, like, hit it at the beginning and, like, gas leaks out.
Sure.
It's this yellow gas, and I guess, like, the prop people, like, they're like, the only way that you can, like, get yellow gas that, like, looks legit on film is to use sulfur.
Oh, man.
And Dan O'Bannon was like, yeah, whatever, just do it. And, like... It's not that, like, sulfur itself just, like, smells bad. It's that it has, like, a stink that sticks.
Yeah.
So they had to, like, if the cameras weren't running after that, like, they had to run the fans going. Otherwise, the whole set just reeked of sulfur. Like, they could not get the scent out. So, yeah, any scene in that basement, like, people's, like, eyes were watering, like, between takes.
It'd be fun to go to a smell-o-vision version of this where they just had, like, sulfur piped in the whole time.
But yeah, anytime, like, you saw smoke, so there's, like, a couple times where you see smoke, and, like, they had to use sulfur to, like, get, like, the yellow smoke smell.
Okay.
Every time it was just horrible.
Gross. Yeah, hats off to the effects people for this movie.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way through, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
2 of the people I found out went on to have huge careers.
Oh, okay.
The one who does Tarman, which I know is a difficult name, which isn't quite right, because I don't know what he's covered in. But anyway, his name is Alan Troutman. He was the guy who was doing it.
Oh, okay.
Went on to work for the Muppets later.
Oh, really?
Including doing the facial stuff for Fran from Dinosaurs, who, as we all know, is voiced by Jessica Walter.
Jessica Walter, yeah.
So, there you go. Just wanted to drop that in. And the other one was the half corpse, the half lady corpse. That's on
With the spinal cord that leaked fluid.
Indeed, yeah, and it was like you could hear it hitting the table, which was crazy. Was designed and run by someone named Tony. Oh shoot, I can't read my Tony Gardner.
Okay.
And he went on to, after this movie, went on to do things like 127 Hours, the whole arm scene there, and there was a scene in Three Kings where there's a bullet that goes in.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And apparently he was interviewed by police for that because they thought it was a real bullet going into a cadaver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he had to like show them step by step how he did. This is according to Wikipedia, but I'm going to believe it. That sounds awesome. He also worked really closely with Daft Punk and designed their helmets.
Oh, crazy.
I know. People
went
on to have some successful careers after this movie.
You know who didn't go on to have a successful career?
Who's that?
The naked punk rock chick.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah?
Did you by any chance notice what color her hair was? I'll leave that right there.
It was a sort of a light wine colored, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certain varietal.
So Dan O'Bannon said that he only envisioned like guys going to see the movie, which is why he got her naked. And then he was like, "Oh well, if I'd known so many girls were going to this, I would have had Tommy get naked."
Yes. Yes, thank you, Dan.
Which makes me wish that he had directed the sequel. There are at least 2 sequels to this movie. I've seen number 3, and it's awful. I've not seen number 2.
It seems like a hard thing to continue on.
Yeah, well, it ends on the cliffhanger.
Like, yeah, I guess you're right. But then, like, how much bigger do you make it? You know, because all you would have to do is expand that. Right?
Number 3 is decidedly smaller. There's only like a zombie woman.
Oh,
I don't remember the plot. It was really bad though too.
There's a lot of interesting zombie tropes that they played with and didn't play with in this movie, like being bitten by a zombie doesn't make you a zombie.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, apparently this is the first movie that says brains.
Yeah.
The zombie saying brains.
Yeah.
Also, they call them zombies.
Yeah.
At one point in this movie, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's at like the beginning when he's like talking about Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
Yeah. And these this is the first movie where the zombies move fast, like they run.
That's true.
Which I guess was like a big to do. Like the producers of the film were like, "Why are they running?" I was like, "I want to do something different."
Yeah.
And they talk. I don't think zombies ever talked in previous films.
Yeah, not really. They have like intelligence and strength for not having.
They're cunning, really.
Yeah.
Like, the one that like calls in backup, like more ambulances and stuff. Like. Yeah,
it's funny because it's funny, silly, but it's also, I don't know. It's kind of smart too because it's also scary. So
yeah.
If the zombie would be able to think in that way. So.
But yeah, the chick that gets naked, like her. If you look at her movie career, it's all just like nudie monster movies.
That's too bad. I didn't write down her name, but her character name is Trash, which is fun.
That's awesome.
I did have a question though. Is like this group of teenagers that we're following around. How did this group become friends?
Yeah, I want to see this origin story.
They seem like they hate each other.
They also seem like they're one of every type of 80s stereotype.
That's true.
You got like the new wave kid. You got the metalhead. You got like punk rock chicks and valley girls. Like it's just like one of every kind.
They're just all hanging out.
Yeah, and yeah, they definitely don't actually seem that friendly towards one another.
It's like the last 6 teenagers in wherever this was, New Jersey or whatever, and they just all have to make do.
When Trash was getting naked, someone said, "Oh, Trash is doing it again." Like this is a common occurrence.
Oh yeah.
Just
my note I wrote when that happened was, well, I guess she just likes being naked.
Yeah.
I didn't really explain it. We talked about the soundtrack a little bit, which is really.
Oh yeah, I mean the soundtrack is just bumping.
Yeah.
Like,
they pick a Cramp song, but it's a really bad Cramp song.
Yeah.
That I liked.
But if I remember correctly, like the the lyrics kind of fit the tone
Okay.
of the movie, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
I do, I like that song, Make Love Till We Die.
Yeah.
And then, just like the synth score at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great theme. I didn't look up who wrote that. Do you know that by any chance?
I did, but it was someone I'd never heard of.
Okay. What's your favorite part of this movie?
My favorite part?
Do you have a favorite moment in it?
So I guess it doesn't count as like just like one part alone, but I feel Dan O'Bannon, like, he directs it that like you see all these things in the beginning, like you're getting introduced around like the mortuary.
Okay.
And then once like the gas is out and things start reanimating, it's like right before they kind of realize what's happening. It's like you're introduced to the half dogs,
right?
And then the half dog is animated, and,
right?
And then there's like the butterflies that are pinned,
right?
And it's like you see those in the beginning, and then like the next time you see them, like they're which I guess was just done like they just had paper butterflies, and there's just a guy right off camera like waving like a big sheet of metal, like, getting them to flap.
That's funny. They didn't have to do that too, you know.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So it's just like those little touches that like it shows that like something's off without them having to say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they obviously talk about the dogs, but like the butterflies in particular, it's like he just has them like in the foreground, sort of moving, and stuff like that. I just thought it was like really well done, really interesting way of making things look visually interesting while the characters kind of realize what's happening.
Sure. There were a lot of little nuggets in there. Like, I mean, just the opening shot of the warehouse is you need what's the name of the company?
I don't know.
It's a medical supplies company. And it's called like You Need a Something.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny. You need it, we've got it. And then there was the eye chart in the
it's like Bert is a slave driver. Yeah, it's one of the eye exam charts where. Yeah,
that's a good little detail, and he leaves it on the screen long enough for you to realize that it's off.
Yeah.
So then you're like, wait a minute, what does that say?
Yeah.
Whereas like because sometimes you see these visual gags, and they're like, if you pause it at just the right second, you can see it, but it's like.
No, he meant.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for you to know. This is my first viewing, and I saw it, so it's like that's fun.
Listening to the commentary, I don't know how many movies at the time did this, but they had to film some scenes multiple times because they needed a television version of the movie.
Oh, I saw this too, yeah.
And Tommy's jacket in the movie version, it says "fuck you" on the back. And on the television version, it says "television version" on the back. But Dan O'Bannon was like, we shot a television version of this? Like the production assistant or designer, whoever was like doing the commentary with him, was like, yeah, it was pretty common back in the day. You'd shoot the same couple scenes. It's like, I think I just shot the television version scenes once, and then we just moved on. Like, he's like, I did not care about the television version.
So if you see the television version of the movie, it might not be as good.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, what a bummer.
So I guess the brains that they used were calf brains.
I thought so. Is this true? Because I saw that on the IMDb page
on the trivia.
Yeah.
That he ate some of them.
Yeah, is that where you got this, or did he say this in the...
He said it, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, go ahead and say it. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Oh, no problem. I was going to say that adding to the stench on set, they had to, like, go somewhere else. Like, they had to go shoot on location, so they left the calf brains just, like, right outside the lot over the weekend. And so, like, when they came back, like, not only were they still, like, suffering from sulfur smell, but they had rotten calf brains right outside.
Come on.
So yeah, like just adding to the stinkiness of shooting.
But as an actor, you can use that, right?
I mean, they had to look sickly, so you just take a whiff of that, and I'm sure it would. I
imagine the tar man is smelly. It's all hell.
Yeah, I like the way the tar man moved.
Me too.
Just like,
it was so creepy,
like
and
a rag doll.
I gotta say, so. I'm glad I saw this movie as, 30-something, because it combines the two things that used to scare me the most in the video section, the horror video section when I was a kid.
Okay.
Which is skulls and eyeballs together for some reason. And specifically, the Evil Dead 2 cover used to freak the fuck out of me when I was a kid. And ever since then, whenever I see skulls with eyeballs, I just get like a very visceral response.
Okay.
Visceral scare response. And so Tarman is a great example of,
I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to Blockbuster, with my dad primarily. And there's certain DVD covers for horror movies, or actually they weren't DVDs.
VHS.
That like still stick out. Like I would always walk by the horror section.
Me too.
But I was always like too scared to like actually like pick up one of the boxes.
Yeah.
I wonder if like younger kids will like remember like scrolling through Netflix and like the horror section.
Maybe,
and,
yeah.
like, remember stuff because I definitely remember Rosemary's Baby in the horror section.
Uh-huh.
The green cover with like the carriage on like some weird rocky cliff mountain type thing.
Yep.
I definitely remember Troll 2. Definitely.
What's that cover? I don't know if I can picture it.
It was, I don't know, it maybe it was Troll 1 now that I think about it, but no, it was definitely Troll 2. I think it was like the staircase picture that just never actually appears in the movie. And yeah, there was a couple other ones now. I don't remember them right off the bat, but yeah.
For me, it's Critters.
Oh, okay.
Was one, even though it didn't scare me, that was actually like a little reprieve in there.
Mm-hmm.
Evil Dead 2, which nightmares, and God, there's probably another one in there. Chud was one I always remember seeing.
Chud. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Uh-huh.
Whew, that movie's not good.
I've never seen it, so
Yeah,
apparently Dan O'Bannon was a supervising person on the design of the Chuds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a Chud 2 that someone told me is better than Chud 1. I'm just hesitant.
Don't know if you can make it there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can go through the Chud franchise.
You're not a Chud head? Is that what they're called?
I think they're called Chodes.
Oh. Chuddies? I mean, the more respectable ones are called Chudders, apparently. Yeah. What else is good about this movie?
I mean, it's just really nice attention to detail. It's like they actually cared about making something that was like gory, but like not OTT gory, like you know, tastefully gory.
Yeah.
And they just they put a lot of emphasis just on like little things that can really give a movie personality, just like costumes and makeup and sets and things like that. Like, I don't know, they really put like, a lot of effort into like making like, the characters look cool or the gore look memorable.
Yeah. There was, I remember kind of settling in about 20 minutes into this movie because I was going to be like the real analytical and like pick apart the logic of the movie, blah, blah, blah. But then I realized like I'm actually just having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I just kind of gave up on that and was just going to start finding the things I liked about it because it's just enjoyable. Like, I mean, some of the acting is painful, some of the dialogue is stupid, but it's like I don't care.
Yeah.
You're just having so much fun with. Like, the pacing is good, and there's lots to look at. It's really colorful.
And I guess we should talk about Dan O'Bannon, too, because he's had quite the career.
Yeah.
He wrote and directed the movie. He's best known for writing Alien.
Right.
But he's written, like, a couple of other things, too. Like, I think he wrote Aliens as well.
Oh,
or maybe it was just characters. And, yeah, like, he had, like, a pretty successful film writing career, and this is like one of his few directing moments. He really hits it out of the park, and I feel like the writing in it like is pretty good. Like there's a lot of just really kind of excellent foreshadowing, like when you get over to like the actual like morticians, like Ernie. Ernie. There's a Bert and an Ernie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you get over there, and he sort of explains, like, what happens to your body, like, when it dies, and he talks about, like, blood pooling up,
right.
And, like, when the rigor mortis is setting in, and, like, him explaining all that then, like, sets it up nicely for then when, like, Tommy and... What's the other dude's name?
I don't remember.
But yeah, when Tommy and the other guy are poisoned, and it's like those things start happening to them. Like you get it in your head, like, oh, they're dying, and he gets that big bruise on his back, and they're having trouble moving, and it just, I don't know. The writing it's like he knows how to foreshadow really well, and it kind of plays into like when like the butterflies were coming alive. It's like he was doing a lot of visual foreshadowing, and then in his writing there was also foreshadowing too. So you kind of had like a nice bam bam of visual and literal foreshadowing in the movie.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this because I know that Dan O'Bannon had the rights to Living Dead somehow.
Okay.
I can't remember why that was, but is this the first movie with Living Dead in the title since Night of the Living Dead?
It might be. Boy, I don't know. I hadn't looked that up.
Because Romero went on to do several other good zombie movies, but none of them said Living Dead.
Yeah.
Because there's Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then he just got rid of the living part of it.
The only thing I can think of is Living Dead Girl.
The Rob Zombie song?
It's from a movie.
Oh, okay.
But I remember seeing it. And I didn't know that there was any sort of copyright issue around Living Dead.
Yeah, it had something to do with, I want to say Dan O'Bannon. I'm not even going to speculate. I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong. But for some reason, he had the rights to continue.
Okay.
They had worked together. Okay, I got it now. They had worked together, Dan O'Bannon and Romero, to make a sequel, to make this sequel. And for some reason, Romero dropped out, but Dan O'Bannon retained the rights to do that, to use Living Dead, I think. Ooh, that sounds right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure that there are people out there who care very deeply for this movie and know the facts more than I do.
Oh, yeah. This is... Because, it was like the third movie that I watched on Saturday. And I remember I was looking up IMDb trivia on, like, all three of the movies. And this one had, like, by far the most trivia.
Yeah.
Like, even though, like, I don't even want to say, like, it's the most famous movie that I watched. I think, like, because the other one that I looked up was, like, Rushmore. I think there's a fair amount of trivia, but this one had, like, a lot of trivia.
Yeah, people really care.
Yeah. Yeah. It strikes me as the type of movie that people hold dear to their hearts.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Like, if this movie had come out when I was in my early 20s or so, I could see seeing it a few times in the theater, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, like, if it was during a time when, like, seeing a movie in a theater was, like, the only time you'd be able to see it.
Right, yeah.
Those were heady days.
Yeah, the 80s.
So...
Man, what did movies cost then? This must have cost, like, $3 to see.
Probably, because I remember, like, seeing, like, Jurassic Park and stuff, and that was, like, 98... Or no,
93.
93, yeah. I was 8. And like I remember seeing a matinee that was like $5.75 or $5.25 or something like that.
That sounds about right.
So this came out 10 years previous, 84. So yeah, it was probably like $3-4.
Yeah.
So
totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, especially in today's money. I just live in the theater.
Yeah. Why not?
And I usually don't like too much comedy in my horror.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about this balance that it does it just right. Like Shaun of the Dead's good, which I feel is like a comedy movie with horror elements to it.
Agreed.
Whereas I feel like this was a horror movie with
comedy
a lot of comedy elements to it. But yeah, it was like horror first, comedy second.
Sure. Although, well, I don't know. I guess there was like one or two moments where I got a little jump scare in there, but not enough to throw the iPad across the room or anything.
Yeah, I'm already, like, it takes a lot to, like, for a movie to actually scare me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, like, judging a movie on scariness, like, that's not a good metric for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're all zeros. Like, I remember I got really scared when I saw The Descent in theaters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember I was, like, sitting in theaters, because I don't even...
Are you claustrophobic?
Yeah, oh my god, that scene, I was like, am I gonna have to leave the theater? Like, is this movie too scary for me? I remember the first time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I got scared.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre just makes me... I watched it once, and all I can remember is just screaming.
There's a lot of screaming.
It's just like a constant scream.
The part that scared me though was like at the end when it gets really twisted. Like the just jump out and like stab you with a chainsaw part. Like that stuff didn't scare me so much. But it's like the girl's like tied down in the chair and they're trying to get like grandpa to like hit her in the head with the hammer. And it's just so strange that like they cut her finger and like it's just that's when I'm like, okay, this is now getting too weird for me. But yeah, other than that, it's just not as much as I love horror movies, like there's not many of them that actually kind of like give me a fright. Oh, so in the beginning there's they're talking about the perfect teeth on the skeletons. And Dan O'Bannon said that like they did some like research and like that is a real thing. Like that's why he put it in the script.
Oh, interesting.
And that most of these skeletons with perfect teeth came from India. Like they had the market cornered on.
That's a real thing, huh?
It was, I guess, a couple years ago. India stopped doing it, and they didn't really say why. But yeah, Dan O'Bannon just said that like he read an article about how like India will no longer be exporting human skeletons for sale, and then he just started thinking, he's like, okay, what type of person has perfect teeth? A young person. So he like actually thought that it was like a black market thing, but like yeah, like
they take their teeth and put them in skulls.
Well, no, they would just kill people and sell their skeletons.
Yeah. I don't know why I made it needlessly complicated.
But yeah, so he feels that India actually had like a black market ring for like killing people with perfect teeth.
Jeez.
And then selling their body to American schools.
How do you go about figuring out if they have perfect teeth?
Nice smile? I don't know.
It seems like you'd have to really get in there before you could tell.
Yeah, how do you know it's not like a bridge or falses or...
I would interview some dentists. Yeah. That's where I'd start.
Well, maybe they had an in on some Indian dentists. And they're like, that one over there. 24, beautiful, You're
going to want this patient. Hands over a folder.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're onto something here.
Yeah, you want to move to India? Start this market back up again?
No. I want to be one of the crime solvers. Oh. We're a crime-solving duo now.
I thought you were trying to figure out ways to make more money. I was going to say we should probably go someplace where they haven't, soused out these criminals. We need to go someplace with looser regulations.
I guess if we find... we'll just have to interview some dentists, and then we'll just play it whichever way we want. So if it's like
dentists of loose morals,
yeah. If we see some that are really interested and eager to, just hand over files, we can maybe blackmail them into giving us money.
I was going to say
we're with the.
Maybe we should Dexter it and like study these people and find out who are evil, and then kill them and then sell their skeletons.
Oh, this podcast took a turn.
Well, it's award season. We should call our awards.
I'm sure you have some ideas.
The Poddies. That's my only idea. Because I knew you wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, nothing else sounds better than winner of 2 Poddies.
This is some quality cast right here. This is just
we're gonna get a potty for this. I suppose it helps that we're doling them out, but...
Oh, man. I think we're having too much fun on these.
Do we need to get serious again?
Yeah, we need to do another Sweet Hereafter.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have on the docket for me?
I don't know. I'm torn between 2 movies, and I can't decide which direction I want to go.
Well, I have a coin toss app on my phone that we can use.
Oh, that might be called for at this point.
They're my phone's just over there next to my quarters.
Better use the app. Well, here's my thinking.
Okay.
There's a movie I really want to get on here in the first 10 episodes.
Okay.
But I'd be willing to pass on it because I'm realizing we haven't done anything that was done earlier than 1975.
Okay.
So there's part of me that wants to do like a classic film, just to throw that in there.
Classic.
I know. So now I'm thinking maybe I should just scrap that idea and we'll get to that later.
Sure.
Okay, so the movie I want to do, and I've made you watch this already, but
okay.
I feel like talking about it.
Okay.
Is Mother.
Oh, okay.
Not the Albert Brooks 1996 Schmaltz Fest, the Bong Joon-ho thriller.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's about 10 years old now, something like that.
Really?
Maybe.
No.
It came out last decade, I think. 2008, maybe?
Did it really? No, I feel that seems way too old.
I'll look it up real fast.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't mind rewatching
2010.
That. Okay, so
6 years old.
7 years, yeah.
Yeah, I revisited it about 2 years ago after initially seeing it, the year it came out or the year after it came out. And I still think it's maybe one of my favorite movies. I just really want to like it and want to talk about it. And I think not enough people have seen it because every time I bring it up, no one's ever heard of it. So
you always bring up the Albert Brooks movie.
They're like, I love that, my mom. No.
We'll talk about it next week, I guess. But you're a big fan of that director, pretty much through and through.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit more about his body of work as a whole next week.
I'd be excited to do that. I wanted to give a couple shout-outs if I can real fast.
Yeah.
So, our ongoing redhead discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag this episode. My friend Emily, who's been listening, the other day I just got a text from her that just said, Michael fucking Fassbender.
Oh, okay.
Redheaded A-lister. And so that's why I texted you.
Oh, okay.
Is Michael Fassbender a redhead?
So we took this question to the people. 50% said Dodoy. 50% said aesthetically no. So I personally, I didn't vote in the poll. I wanted to remain partial. But I put no. Or I would have put no. Yeah. It seems like a dark, rich brown. Yeah. But not red.
I don't know where I land on this because I went online immediately after she texted that and was looking at pictures of him, and there's definitely some red-heady pictures.
Yeah.
And there's interviews where he's talking about his carpet matching the drapes, which are red, apparently. Wow. And so...
I feel like I've seen that carpet, though.
Yeah, we have. I mean, if you've seen Shame, it's right there. Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if that qualifies or not.
Yeah, because... I don't remember which episode we initially talked about Hollywood's redhead prejudice.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was one of the first three. Uh-huh. And one of my redheaded friends, hi Josh, had said, appreciated that we broached the subject. Yeah. And, he said, that he even, Googled, redheaded celebrities, and that Michael Fassbender was on there, and he's like, I do not agree with this pick.
Yeah. Even if he was, though, you have to admit that Shame is troublesome casting because he's a sexual problem as a redhead, and then also Prometheus, he's the bad guy. So sort of I don't know. Yeah. Even if he is a leading man, we've got casting issues here.
He was the slave holder in 12 Years a Slave.
See? It is everywhere, and once you start to look for it. The other thing I wanted to point out just real fast is that there's a person who runs a website that is dedicated to the Phantom of the Paradise merch stuff. They have a website called theswanarchives.org, and they wrote us a really great email about our podcast. Yeah. On that particular film, and so I just wanted to put that put that person's website out there. I didn't ask if I could say their name, so that's why I'm being very vague about that part. But
yeah, we'll have a link on the Facebook page, and we'll put it out on Twitter.
Good idea.
But yeah, it was a really cool site, and like, it's sort of nice to know that, like, especially for like a movie like Phantom of the Paradise, that there's this long lasting appreciation for it.
Yeah.
Like in the email, the guy like talked about. I'm assuming it was a guy.
I don't know.
They talked about like seeing the movie like in theaters like way back,
yeah,
like during its initial release and stuff like that. So it's just cool that movie has like inspired that like level of like fandom and appreciation like throughout the years, and they knew so much about the movie. They answered like all of the questions that we had.
It was great.
it was really nice. That was a very much appreciated email.
Yeah. So thank you, archivist.
Yeah. So we'll get that stuff up so that other people can see it, because like the website was really cool and informative.
SwanArchives.org, and you should check it out. It's huge.
Yeah.
We got all sorts of stuff on there. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Those are the two things I just wanted to get out there.
Yeah, I think all I wanted to talk about was my plans on more exposure. And
for the podcast.
For the podcast.
Not
and in life.
Not like that wheelchair guy from The Exorcist 3, right?
Just wheels up slowly but surely, and then wow, full frontal.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye. No. We have Twitter. Whatever. We're done.